Hello students, with this new section here we're going to be solving equations using addition and subtraction. Our first slide here we have some terms that I'd like for you to write down. Please make sure you're writing the title along with the term and its definition. So the first term we have here is equivalent equations. And when you think of equivalent equations, think of a balance scale. The left and the right side of the scale need to be equal to one another. So if the left side equals 5, the right side of the scale also needs to equal 5. So we're going to be solving equations within this chapter, thinking of a balance scale, the left and right side equaling each other. Another term here, inverse operation. These are operations that undo each other. They help you isolate the variable in an equation. When it says isolate a variable, it means get the variable all by itself, working with an equation. So here we have an example of x minus 3 equals 5. So when we think of undoing an operation, when we think of undo, what's the opposite of a minus 3? We need to undo that. So we're going to add 3 to the left. And when we add 3 to the left, we need to add 3 to the right. When we're solving equations, whatever you do to one side, you have to do the same to the other. And so then we're going to be isolating the variable so that x is by itself. Because notice negative 3 and positive 3 cancel to become 0. So what we have here is x equals 5 plus 3, which is x equals 8. So that's pretty much what we're doing within this section. The next term here, it says solution step, and this is where you're really going to be showing your work to help you solve the equation. So it's the steps that show how to solve an equation. So let's get into some examples. Example number 1, A and B, they want you to solve these equations. So we have here for A, x minus 9 equals negative 17. So what we need to do here is we need to isolate the variable x, meaning get x all by itself there on the left side. So to isolate that variable, we have to undo this negative 9. Well, to undo that, we're going to add 9 to both sides. And x equals negative 8. That would be my answer for A. For B here, we have negative 11 equals n minus negative 2. Well, remember from the last chapter, double negatives become positive. So we need to think of this as negative 11 equals n plus 2. We need to isolate the variable. Our variable here is n. So we need to get that all by itself. So we have to undo this plus 2. We have to get rid of that. So we're going to subtract 2 to both sides. So what we're going to get here is, I always like to write the final answer with the variable first. So it's going to be n equals negative 13. And that would be my answer. Notice I show my solution steps by subtracting 2 to both sides and then writing my answer. So you're showing your work those solution steps. Example number 2 here, you might run into some real life situations. It says the normal high temperature in January in Bismarck, North Dakota is 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And the normal low temperature is negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit. How many degrees apart are the normal high and low temperatures of North Dakota? So we first have to look at the numbers they're giving us. They're saying that the normal high temperature is 20 degrees Fahrenheit and the low temperature is negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit. We need to set up an equation relating to this story problem to find out the answer of the difference between the two. So we start off with our 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That's our high temperature, equal to, we don't know the difference between the two, so we're going to label that with x. And then we're going to add our low temperature of negative 2 to this. So we're solving for x, so adding a negative, think of this as 20 equals x minus 2. And we want to find x. So we're going to isolate the variable by adding 2 to both sides. On the right side, that cancels. So what we're left with is x equals 22 degrees Fahrenheit. So what does this mean? It means that there is a difference of 22 degrees Fahrenheit between the low and the high temperatures. So we're going to put that in writing. So we'll say the temperature between the high and low temperature between the high and low degrees. I should say the temperature between the high and low is 22 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be fine. So you need to show your solution steps, find your answer, and then since it's a word problem, restate the question by saying it in a sentence here.